Okay.
All right, Liz, thanks so much. Liz Fritz, thanks so much. Franchise owner, Chick-fil-A. Thanks so much for being part of our class today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So last summer, Henry went with your baseball team to Destin, and Ben and I had some chances to talk about the Chick-fil-A franchise and model and kind of what you guys do. Take me through that. I know Chick-fil-A is different than like owning a McDonald's franchise or something else. How did you start with them, and where are you at now? How is that process?
Okay. For me, I started, it was my very first job in high school was at Chick-fil-A. So that was my very first exposure to Chick-fil-A was my senior year of high school, I guess. I thought I should go find a job. And Chick-fil-A was my first interview.
Where was that at? Where was that at?
I was in Midland, Texas. So at a mall Chick-fil-A that's still there today. Because that was quite a while ago. And so that was my first, and I loved the job, not as like a career, but I just thought it built a lot of confidence in me, like dealing with customers, like learning to speak, learning, work skills. So that was a good experience. Then I went on to college, did other jobs,
Where'd
different
you go to
things.
school at? Where'd you
So kind of floated around a little bit. I started out at Baylor. Got in a car accident and had to take some time off of school. And so ended up back at Midland Junior College, which is where I met my husband. And then we ended up our last couple of years at Purdue University. So I ended up deciding to study business management because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I figured business was applicable to many things and I would kind of figure it out. And
isn't Purdue in Indiana? Like, how did you pick Purdue? That seems so random.
Well, Ben got recruited to play baseball as a catcher at Purdue. And so I, was in love, and that was where we were going to go. I had to go to school somewhere. So that was
and I'm going to put a picture up of Ben real quick here so everybody knows who we're talking about here. And this is, let me pull this one up here real quick. This is you guys with some mustaches on or something here. I thought was kind of a funny picture. Funny. He sent me these pictures. Hopefully these are okay.
I'm not even 100% sure what he sent you. So that's,
so can you see that one?
I do. I see that one. That was a marketing event we did at our first Chick-fil-A that we owned in California. So yeah, I think it was, I don't remember what it was the person came up with, but if you had a mustache, got a free something or whatever. So it was fun.
Right. And so you guys go to Purdue and you graduate from there, right?
Yep. Went to Purdue, graduated with business management, ended up working at the local Chick-fil-A my senior year of college again, really just kind of randomly thought, hey, I really need to get some business leadership experience. I haven't really done a lot of things like that. And I loved working at Chick-fil-A in high school. I thought it was fun. I always thought I could be a leader, but I just had never really done it. And so that was when I became just kind of one of the night managers and just learned a lot about myself, about Chick-fil-A. Just kind of, I really fell in love with the job itself, as far as just like the business, management in general, leadership, just business, the kind of fast pace every day is different.
I mean, it's fast food. It's hard. That's a hard job. My very first job was, I was 14 years old in Oregon and I worked the cash register at McDonald's for 4 days. It was too hard for me. I was like, I honestly, they only worked me like 2 hours a night. So it was like, my dad would just come and have a Big Mac and a shake and wait, and that was it. It was like 4 days. I was like, I don't know if I'm really ready for a career, and this is hard. You found the pace to be one that you liked?
I did. Yeah. So I would definitely say if you don't like pace and don't do it. So at least with fast food. And even then, I don't know if I could do a regular restaurant. Like the fact that we're closed on Sundays is really nice because it is a lot every day, long days. There's always a need, even if, I'm not there, running the register, but there's, something breaks, something happens, someone calls out. So it's definitely a busy kind of business. So
you as the franchise owner, do you jump in and run the register sometimes?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There's some things I like more than others at this point. Now I get to kind of pick and choose. At the beginning, I mean, kind of that first picture was that Chick-fil-A I owned in California. There was no one had really heard of Chick-fil-A in California. I know that's kind of weird for you guys in Texas, but at that point, there was really, the sales were low. Yeah, there's another one. So we just those are my 2 kids, the cow. So we just did a lot of marketing events because no one had heard of Chick-fil-A. And then when they did hear of Chick-fil-A, they were kind of like, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot of marketing, really trying to build the brand when we were out there.
Yeah.
And so we did everything. So that's perfect example of like, we would like count inventory while we had our children and like, we did everything ourselves.
Right.
And that was a fun phase of time. But a lot now at this point, with how busy we are, and like I can support a lot more managers, paying people to help me with the business. So I don't have to do as much. So I get to do more of what I like or enjoy doing. So like my favorite position right now is I like to do outside expo, which is where you kind of stand outside the window and you hand out food to the guests at their cars. So those are a couple of my leaders. This was actually my farewell from California. So I owned the Chick-fil-A in California for 7 years. And those were 2 of my leaders that had worked with me for a really long time.
So let me ask you something. So you go from Purdue, you're working your senior year there, you get your degree. Do you immediately go into management and they move you to California? Is that how it works?
So Chick-fil-A is really self-driven as far as like, they don't really move you anywhere. So I moved to Atlanta and worked for a year for an operator there after college. And then I applied to the program they call Leadership Development Program. And so then you work for corporate, it usually is a year to 2 years. And you run corporately owned stores, you open up new restaurants. And so you're also doing your own personal, so that's part of your interview. And then you're also doing actual interviews, because with Chick-fil-A, it takes, I think the average is 2 years to become an operator. The interview process is very stringent. So
did you have to go to Atlanta? Did you have to, because I know that's the headquarters for Chick-fil-A, right? Like Atlanta. Did you have to go there and become part of that program there?
No, you don't have to. You can be anywhere in the country. So I just happened, my operator I had worked for in Indiana relocated back home there, and he offered me an opportunity to move to Atlanta and experience a new Chick-fil-A, because as you know, every city, every customers are different, team members are different. It was a really good challenge and experience from kind of small town Indiana to experience a different type of restaurant. Like we were in downtown Atlanta. We shared a wall with a liquor store. We had homeless people that would, pee all over the bathroom every morning. We had, my operator was held up at gunpoint at one point. So
my goodness.
So we've had a lot of adventures while we were there. So which is good, because when you sign up with Chick-fil-A, they're looking for people that want to own and operate this franchise for life. You can't own other franchises with the Chick-fil-A system. That's your main job. And there's not really you're expected to be a part of the restaurant and the business and be in the community. And there's really not like a set number of hours or different things, but just that's your main focus is Chick-fil-A. And so most people sign up for life. So you really want to make sure you want to do it, which is why the interview process is so stringent. People do. I mean, there's people that are, for sure in their 70s that are still have, owned and operated their Chick-fil-A's for 30, 40 years. So.
Okay. So you get into the program, they interview you, they like you, and an operator, you're saying, is like an owner. It's like a franchise owner. So you have an opportunity to go to California. Where in California were you an operator first at?
Yeah, so you pick your top locations. So we wanted to be actually in Phoenix area or Texas, Oklahoma were our top choices. And so California was kind of a weird mistake, but really not even. Like, we ran that particular Chick-fil-A was almost brand new. The person that started as the operator didn't work out, had some bad experiences. And so it was available. It was almost new. It was one of the lowest volume Chick-fil-A's in the chain. And we were like, we got this. This is a great location. We can build it. I like a challenge. Loved the area for having a family and, being involved in the community. And ideally, we always wanted to get back to Texas because that's where I'm from. And all my family is here in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah.
But we knew if that's where we ended up being, we'd be happy. So we were happy with that location. So, because you sign an agreement with a particular location. Yeah. Anytime. So when I left so I was there for 7 years at that location. So if you want to go back, so if you want to move, you can ask and you apply. So you just compete, really just competing against whoever else wants that location.
So the location in California, if I want to open up a McDonald's franchise, I have to pay a franchise fee. I have to, I mean, there's a lot of like huge startup costs in a franchise. This sounds like it's a little bit more of an interview slash, just, is there the same setup, same like startup fees as this? And where is the location in California too, by the way?
So the difference, well, it was in Temecula, California, which is
Okay.
in between San Diego and LA.
Yeah, great area.
Yeah, beautiful area. It really is beautiful. I guess we should have sent a picture of just like how the area is, now that I think about it. But it's a beautiful area. It was a great opportunity. But with Chick-fil-A, because they select and build the locations and you don't have any equity in that particular location, as opposed to a lot of other franchises, like you would be responsible for paying for the building or selecting the location. Chick-fil-A does that. And so you don't really get to say like, hey, I want to build one here. You can influence the Chick-fil-A real estate department if you have something you feel strongly about. But
Right.
in general, they kind of have their strategy of where they're building locations. And
Yeah.
so it's different as far as the equity that you have in the company. The fee that you have to put up front to get into the franchise is very minimal. I want to say it's $10,000 right now.
Wow, that is very low.
Maybe 20. It's very low. And that's
To start up
just
a whole Chick-fil-A or to take over as a franchise owner, 10 grand, 20 grand. That's crazy. Cause like McDonald's is like 1.2 million or what. I mean, that's like very different model.
So when Truett Cappy started Chick-fil-A, he wanted to give people an opportunity to be business owners, entrepreneurs, without having to have the capital that you need in a lot of other franchises. So it's a unique opportunity for younger people or people that just have different experiences in life to partner with a brand, and work with them while still being on your own. You're
Yeah.
self-employed. My team members work for me, have responsibility for, there you go, for that, but you have this great brand that also gives you a fair amount of protection as well. And
Yeah.
so.
It's interesting because like Temecula, it is. I used to run sports camps there for Skyhawks back in the day, and this area right here. I mean, it's I went to college here, and I lived here as well. So it's like Temecula is inland. It's hot, but it is like family friendly. Like people were tired of paying real estate prices here and here, move out here, and they drove this price of real estate up quite a bit. So you're there in Temecula. You run it for 7 years. I'm assuming your numbers go up, which allows you to come to Texas. Is that right? Or did it work out well for you there?
It did. It worked out well. So it was, yeah, there we go. That's cute. That's us moving to Texas there. But yeah, we did really well. We won an award called Symbol of Success a couple times, which is kind of a sales growth award, as you're trying to just like really build the brand. And I mean, it's amazing. Even after we left, it's really just continued to grow. So we focused, not only did we do like events, but we really just focused on like quality food, guest experience, because if you have a bad experience in a restaurant, it's really easy to lose that guest. There's a lot of other options out there. And so we were ultra focused on just guest satisfaction and making sure every experience was amazing because you have one chance. Like, if you try a new restaurant, like a new local small chain or something, you're like, ugh, that wasn't very good. Probably not going to come back, and you're probably going to tell people about that. And so it was we're very focused on that kind of for our brand and sales growth at the time.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you're at Temecula, you ran it for 7 years, you did great. And let's say you're like, man, I want out of the fast food industry. This is just killing me, whatever. And you left. Do you take any equity with you, or are you just like, I'm done and that's it?
You don't take any equity with you. So you don't have any responsibility either. So it's pretty much just like, hey, I'm done. I think you have to give like a 30-day notice or something, and that's about it. And then you just walk away. Okay. So it's kind of easy. Well, it's not easy because it's so competitive. Like I want to say they said they had 76,000 people apply to own and operate a Chick-fil-A last year, and they only select 120 people each year.
So Liz, you seem like an incredible person to run this. Why do you think you were selected? What was it about you? I know you have a degree from Purdue, all of that. Like, so what is it about you that got this?
So I think they start definitely with character and values. That's really important. And you don't have to be like, I know a lot of people know, Chick-fil-A's closed on Sundays. Like, you don't have to be a Christian or anything necessarily. They don't ask you questions like that. Right. But the values of being like, hey, I want to own my own business, and you have, because they're trusting you with minimal of your own money in
Right.
to make sure the character's there, that you're not going to be, stealing from Chick-fil-A or doing different things. So they just spend a lot of time in that. And then they're looking for, an entrepreneur mindset. So someone that is looking to really grow and invest in a business, not just
Okay.
kind of like, hey, I'm going to have this on the side and I'm not really going to think about it. I'm just going to pay someone else to take care of it, kind of thing. Like, this is someone that's looking, and then really is this community kind of involved as well. So like, you care about people, but you're also business result oriented. So it's a balance. So I would say a mix of those things. I'm pretty driven. I have a pretty high D personality as far as just business results, but then I also just love the impact that I get to have on people's lives and the community and people that work with me.
Well,
So there's kind of a mix.
And I think at the Trophy Club parade every year, we always have I think the Chick-fil-A from Roanoke sends out the cow, and they march in the parade and they take pictures with the kids and all that kind of stuff, and all that's just part of this, taking this on, but fast food industry is hard. Like, I run a sports camp business, and I deal with college students and high school students, and they're great, but they do work for a day, and then, like I did when I was 14, and leave. So like, is that probably maybe the hardest part, is the staff management, or what would you say is the hardest part about owning the franchise?
Yeah, that's the hardest part at this point in time, for sure. In this kind of stage of the world, is definitely staffing challenges. And it's, Chick-fil-A, it's a great job, but it's still a job. It's hard work, right? Like, you still have to deal with customers. You still have to work hard. It's fast paced. And so it's not easy. And it's definitely, you realize that sometimes you only get, maybe 6 months or a year with a person. And then you have some people, I have quite a few that have worked for me for 5 to 10 years right now. And so you get that special connection with some people, but you also get like, hey, I just get this amount of time to influence you and impact you and hopefully teach you some, work ethic, some customer service skills, some, just personal skills as well, as far as.
And I will say the Chick-fil-A employees are just incredible. Like, whenever we go through, they're always like trying to pick up like cues on like, how do we train our staff better? Like, to say, it's my pleasure, and all the kind of things that they do. Are they all sort of like told that this may be a potential career job for them, or how do you get them to drink the Kool-Aid of like incredible customer service for your employees?
Well, I do think it starts from the top down. I think that is the unique thing about the Chick-fil-A franchise, is kind of this owner operator, their model that they have is like, I'm engaged in the business. I'm interviewing people a lot of times as well, selecting talent. So it kind of starts from there, just having a vision of like what the experience should be from leadership.
Yeah.
And then just, selection, we look for people that really care about people and care about like community and service. Like, I mean, it's not perfect. You need a variety of skills and personalities at the same time, but there's something in their heart that says like people matter, and it's not just about me.
Right. So you go from Temecula and you go directly to Keller. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. We opened this location.
And and I think I've got the right location here. Is this the correct location?
Yep. That's the right.
Okay. So, and by the way, like, I know the Yelp reviews, like that's, I mean, by the way, it's fast food, so it's hard. Like, I remember our sports camp business, we had people that would go on our Facebook and say like, oh my goodness, it drove me kind of crazy. But, it's got to be difficult in the fast food. You have to have the ability to want to please your customer, but also some thick skin when they order Diet Pepsi and not Pepsi, or whatever the mistake maybe was within an employee. But how has your experience been running the Keller store for it?
It's been great. I've loved this location. It's not been as exciting as being in California as far as like kind of marketing growth. This is a much more established like brand aware market.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to do some fun things. Like, we work together, all the Chick-fil-A's in DFW. So there's 120, I believe, Chick-fil-A locations in the market. So I've been like the chairman of the market for a couple of years, as far as, we do all the, radio, TV buys, sports contracts, things like that. So I did that for a few years, and that was really fun. So gotten to do, some different things in this market that I didn't get to do
Yeah.
there. So it's been good.
Yeah.
I love this community, so I'm not planning on going anywhere,
Right.
sticking around for a long time. So it's still a lot of opportunity to have.
So now do you and Ben run this together then, or is he part of it as well? Does he do something else as well, or?
Yeah, so he does some real estate as well. So he
Okay.
kind of goes back and forth. I'm Chick-fil-A just goes into agreement with one person, so I'm the person. So he just helps me, like for years he did a lot of stuff and then he'll
Yeah.
kind of do less. So right, he just bought a house the other day, so he's flipping it and working on that. So he kind of has different projects and things that he's doing. And this last fall when kind of there was real shortage of staffing, as like a lot of businesses were
Yeah.
closed because people didn't have people to work. He was there working every day, taking orders on the register every day with me. So he can do everything.
Oh man.
Sometimes he's just my support person. When you run a business, there's a
Yeah.
lot of, ultimately, you might not be doing a lot of hands-on work, but there's a lot of mental, just stress, emotional stress, decision making, just clarity of vision and work. And sometimes you just need to process those things. And so a good supportive spouse is really helpful with that.
Bringing in that right-hander here in the, in the late innings to help it for sure. Gosh, Liz, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So hopefully I gave some information about Chick-fil-A. It's a very complex business, but it's been such a blessing to be with Chick-fil-A. And thank you for letting me share that today.